We will stand and observe a moment of silence. I'm in charge of the invocation, so I'll say a few words that we'll observe a moment of silence. Today is the 50th year anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. So if you guys would kindly keep that in your mind in your moment of silence, and then we will end the moment of silence and follow it by the pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, we don't have everybody's here, and I would just like to note that our newly appointed mayor is here also, so good to see you, Mr. O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Courtesy of the floor. Didn't want to stop you and part way there a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's great that we have a mayor here now at a council meeting. And being the president of City Council, I'd like to refresh his memory a little bit. And the 5-year financial plan is where?
Mr. Hartzell had it. I saw an email that he has it done, so.
Will we see it shortly?
Mr. Hartzell, will Mr. Hirschman be seeing the 5-year plan shortly? I think there's too many reruns on TV, so.
That's probably a fair point. I have also notified Mayor O'Connell of my desire to speak with him about that very, very shortly, and he's still getting settled in, obviously, here in the first week, but that's right up near the top of my list of things to talk with him about, so that will be coming very soon.
And then rainwater transfer, since the finance chairman is here, I've been looking for this rainwater transfer, about $250,000. That should be coming shortly, right? Promised the president of council.
We have been having discussions within the finance department about how we are going to go to do that, and that will be brought forward within a matter of weeks.
And then another thing I'd like to refresh, Mr. Hartzell, is the credits for the rainwater tax. There's supposed to be some type of credits, like under the ordinance that council passed. When will that be provided?
Well, the approval from the contract was last week, so we're working on it now, and I'm sure it will be here either by the end of the month or the beginning of next month.
So anybody pays their bill now, I would have to apply for the credit for 2 years then?
The credits start in 2019. First year of it, there are no credits. They are worked on the first year and implemented for the 2019.
No, it doesn't read like that in the ordinance, so, okay, but it should read that in the ordinance. Well, the main reason I'm really here is this past week we heard many candidates for the office of mayor who came up with so many good ideas how to benefit the city of Allentown. And I think what council got to do with the mayor is appoint some type of committee and put some of these people who appeared in front of city council to present these many great ideas how to benefit the city of Allentown. We can't let those ideas just die or pass away. I think if council, the mayor will consider appointing a committee like Matt Hyman, some other people to this committee with the ideas they present to city council, and maybe come up with these ideas. Maybe council then can implement them to make our city better than it is today. Could you have a resolution on the agenda praising the FBI and on what's it say, and the delivery of government services. I think these people that appear in front of city council present many good ideas to city council. And I think we should not let these ideas just fade away. Appoint a blue ribbon panel or with some of the members that appear in front of you and help them adopt the ideas how they intend to do these things. And probably the mayor and city council could work together with this committee and make our city a better place, like they have planned. Thank you. Just on that's a good idea, I think, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Hirschman, Mr. President, council members, I couldn't agree with you more. We've seen a pool of great candidates, and we also seen some very interested residents who would be very good. I've been saying this for many years, and you've heard me. We have too many authorities, boards, and commission slots that are open. We've got to tap the people who have come up and showed an interest in Allentown. And one of my first priorities will be to fill those boards, commissions, and authorities with people who are interested. Everyone has a different expertise. Someone might be good for Environmental Advisory Council. Some might be good for Rec Commission. Some might be good for another commission. But that is a very good suggestion. I will be working with council on that. And I know, Ms. Zappa, you're in charge of the appointments. We have some appointments tonight, which are very good people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, members of council, Your Honor, it's good to see the mayor here at City Council again, and I already saw he's been getting to work right away this week. I attended a panel discussion last night held at the Allentown Public Library that was sponsored by the Allentown branch of the NAACP, and the topic was hip-hop and the community. And I'm here tonight just to basically tell the members of council and the mayor and the public of what a great coming together that was of a variety of people from the diverse city that we live in. And I want to especially commend APD Chief Captain Glenn Granite, who represented the Center City District, in dealing with what could have been very explosive and tense situation, which he diffused with the utmost of professionalism and listening. And he basically said he wants to be the change that people want to see. And he really stepped up last night. I know Councilman Garidi was there last night, Councilwoman Affa was there last night, and there were others in the community who are concerned about things going on in the city. And I just want to say that Captain Granitz was an excellent representation of the police department and the city. And I think that people that came in with a different perspective, then they left. And I think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words for Captain Grant. Sir.
Yes. Joe Hoffman, 334 North 13th Street. One of the things that I do right now is serve on the city's Environmental Advisory Council. I'd like to do a lot more, but we'll stick with the EAC for the moment. We do have a question. We submitted 2 names for appointment to the EAC, Dr. Swan and Elizabeth Hunt. And I was wondering, A, were they approved and the information just didn't get back to us, or are they still waiting to be approved? Because the EAC is supposed to have 7 members, and right now it has 2. And those 2 would at least get us up to a working majority of 4. And they're both very good people. Dr. Swan is from Lehigh University, and Elizabeth Hunt is a community banker in this area. So I know that they've been submitted to you. If you approve them, then please let me know and I'll take it back to them. But I know in the confusion of the last month, something might have got lost in the shuffle somewhere.
Yeah, they're not on the agenda for tonight, but I saw the mayor taking notes and Ms. Affa is taking notes also, so I'm sure we will have an answer for you until next.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of appointments on boards and so on and so forth that we haven't addressed yet. We're waiting for the new mayor. We have a couple tonight, and we'll be addressing that and try to get them out as soon as possible. Confirmation, everything.
We're on it then.
But we're on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeff Reedy, 905 7th Avenue in Bethlehem. Council President, council members, Mayor O'Connell, city officials, and citizens. Tonight I stand before you as the Executive Director of the Lehigh Valley Chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. An organization founded in the 70s to reform the archaic marijuana laws that still exist across this country. Our methods are activism, lobbying, and education. And our tools are knowledge of facts and public opinion. I will save my activism for another day soon, as today I want to talk with all of you about awareness. As some of you may be aware, in April 2016, Pennsylvania passed a Medical Marijuana Act, allowing patients relief from cannabis. The program currently includes 17 ailments from autism to cancer. And in February of this year, the first state-regulated dispensaries began dispensing cannabis-derived products to qualified patients through recommendations from certified physicians. One of those dispensaries will be on Emmaus Avenue here in Allentown. That's right, your friends, your neighbors, family members, and tens of thousands of citizens across Pennsylvania are now or will be soon consuming marijuana products for relief. They will be vaping with pens, consuming oils, tinctures, and pills, and applying topical creams for relief. How will you recognize them? How will we treat them? These citizens will be carrying their medicine while commuting, or maybe consuming in their yard or at home. Are they criminals? No. But awareness and sensitivity can rule the day in this situation here. Our police officers will be confronted with it. How will they react? I was born and raised here in Allentown, and I am a 1976 graduate of Deer High School. I share a pride for this city, as many of you on council do. As a longtime advocate for marijuana's legalization, I have fought against public stigma. I've also fought for this reform. Tonight, I want to see Allentown step up with exemplary preparedness. I want the city to stand as an example for other communities. As these laws change and marijuana becomes a part of our daily conversation and no longer a statistic on arrest tallies. We want to help the city to avoid unnecessary and unwarranted citations because of misunderstanding or a lack of awareness of what medical marijuana really is. I have personally diffused potentially volatile situations in Bethlehem recently with regards to medical marijuana patients living in public housing and on public assistance. Quick thinking on my part and a responsive Bethlehem Housing Authority supervisor saved the day there. I want to avoid that here, as in the end, the patient suffers in anguish, concern of arrest, and potential loss of assistance and or home. Myself and Lehigh Valley Normal are willing to work with the mayor's office, city council, Allentown's police, and any other offices that might be affected firsthand by this new law. We can help facilitate awareness training at the dispensaries and offer our resources at the Department of Health's Medical Marijuana Office. Understanding can rule the day. My door is always open, and I am only ever a phone call away. On behalf of Lehigh Valley Normal and medical marijuana patients across Pennsylvania and this great state, I want to thank each of you for your time. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. You actually ran over, but I think Mr. Hanlon only gave you 3 minutes, and you were representing an organization, so we're good.
Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening, Council, President McLean. Mike Kaminsky, 779 Benton Street in Allentown. It has been a long, grueling, whatever it is, 30-plus months since we've had the ordeal. That's quite honestly put a stigma on our city and given us a very bad name. I don't know that it's worked out for everybody in the city of Allentown the way they wanted it. If it was up to me, we would have buried this back in the May primaries, and we would have buried this back in the general election back in November, and that didn't happen. Some people still have thoughts, and not my thoughts, but other people publicly have expressed frustration with the decision for mayor. And I know for fact that was the decision that this council in front of me had to make. That was not an easy one. What I'm asking tonight, and I want to put on record, is I want the city and the council and Mayor O'Connell to, let's understand, whatever's in the past is in the past. When we vote on the FBI thank you letter tonight, or whenever that is, let's bury the past here, and let's start moving forward as a city and doing what is best for the city of Allentown. For all races, creeds, color, whatever you want to do to describe, the fine people of our city, let us finally move on tonight and let us do what is best and seek to understand the people of the city and then act and do what is best for the city of Allentown. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
James Whitney, Allentown. Benjamin Franklin said that the first responsibility of every citizen is to question authority. I just want to encourage council and our new mayor that when the citizens question your motives, they're doing their duty as citizens. And I want to encourage all of you to look at that as an opportunity to celebrate their engagement and to make your own stances on the issues more transparent and clear and understood. And know that we're all in this together, and that even when we question your motives, that's not, it's not to create discourse, or it's not to create a combative us versus them mentality in the city. It's really to further understanding. And so, I'd love to echo what that gentleman just said, that, we need a clean slate, and we need, maybe if we don't have faith, to try and to move forward together. And I just want to encourage you guys, because there's a lot of this tension right now between citizens and leadership, and I think that we can all do a better job of diffusing that tension by recognizing that this is all part of the process of healing, and it'll help us to heal even faster if we understand that. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Whitney, I want to commend you for being here tonight. You were very frustrated at the last meeting, and you made a comment that you probably would never return. I'm glad you're here tonight, and I would encourage you to continue to come. Okay. We need people. We need some people. We need some discourse. We're going to have some discourse. There's no question about it. And hopefully we'll do the right thing, the best thing for all the citizens of the city.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I really stand by what I said in that, you have to understand why people aren't here. I understand why people lose faith and why there are empty seats here tonight still. But, if we're going to move forward and heal this city, we need to understand that when the citizens feel frustration and when they question your motives, that they're doing their jobs as citizens. They're doing their job in the way that our founding fathers intended them to. And that, we really need to start treating that as an opportunity for greater understanding and to mend this city. So, I'm going to continue to come, and I can't say that I have faith in the system, but I can say that removing myself from it will do nothing to build a system I could have faith in. So, we're going to keep coming.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public for courtesy of the floor?
Good evening. My name is Norberto Dominguez, 415 Allen Street, Allentown, PA, 18102. I have been a resident here since 1974 and graduate of Allen High School. And I've seen the city change, and I've seen a lot of people come through the city council. I know most of you, and I just want to say thank you to Cynthia Mota for standing up and staying your ground. I think it's unfair what I read in the morning call, and a lot of people in the community support you. So thank you. And the rest of you members, I feel that everyone's doing the right thing. But you're still a team. And as a citizen, I'm still behind you guys. You're my team. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from the public? Seeing nobody, Mr. Hanlon. Approval of minutes.
We have none.
Okay, old business. Nobody for old business? Communications. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. President. There's actually a question for the administration. Mr. Mayor, just out of curiosity, do we have a resolution to hiring the 2 new paramedics for the EMS department that were in the budget? I know at the last meeting, I'm not sure exactly which one because we had a couple meetings move around. I believe it was Mr. Hartzell said that they were looking to hire
the part-timers and make them full-time. I'm just curious if that has been addressed.
Yes, Mr. Robinson, thank you. In early March, the previous mayor did sign off on opening up the hiring of the 25th and 26th paramedic positions. I would expect that Mr. Grass is probably looking right now at who would be best to fit those positions, but those two positions were approved for consideration to hire.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Robinson, if I could just update you on that. In this whirlwind transition we've had in the last month here, that came across when I was when I was warming the seat for Mr. O'Connor, getting it prepared for him. There were 4 part-time paramedics who were being moved up to full-time paramedics, and we should have, I would imagine they're somewhere in the stages of the hiring process at this point.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you both very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, no old business. I was in on old business communications. None. Reports from committees. Budget and Finance, Mr. Garidi.
No, I thought you were going to talk.
He's after that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee has not met since the last council meeting. However, there is a council meeting scheduled for April 18th at 5 p.m. There we're going to be talking, we have one bill, Bill 13, and that is in relation to the IT department malware. We also will discuss March 2018 and December 2017, December 3, 2017 finance report. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Garidi. Community and Economic Development, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee did meet tonight, but unfortunately, the one item on our agenda we had to table because there was no one here from Economic Development to discuss the bill. We do have a meeting scheduled for May 9th, which is going to be at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. However, as I stated at the meeting, just for anyone who came in afterwards, that next Thursday on April 12th at 4 p.m., the committee will be having an unofficial meeting, no business conducted, but a tour of the Casa Guadalupe Center, which Councilman Garidi, who's chairman of the board, has been kind enough to organize that. This is the first of many of these community tours that we're going to be doing, taking the committee outside of City Hall, and I invite any member of the public or the administration who would like to join us to please do that. And the address is 218 North 2nd Street. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Human Resources Administration and Appointments, Ms. Alpha.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. A future meeting has been scheduled for May 2nd prior to council meeting to review 2 bills and receive an update on the personnel study.
Thank you, Ms. Alpha. Parks and Recreation, Ms. Mokhtar.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. A future meeting has not been scheduled.
Thank you, Ms. Mokhtar. Public Safety, Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since last meeting, and there is currently no future meetings planned.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Public Works, Mr. Zucco.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting. A future meeting is scheduled for April 18th at 6:45.
Thank you very much. Rules, Chambers, Intergovernmental Relations and Strategy, that's me. We have not met also since the last meeting. It says here there is no future meeting scheduled, but I'm believing we will be scheduling a meeting before too long. I just don't have a date yet. City Controllers Report, Mr. Glazer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an accounts payable weekly check review report from essentially the month of March. We reviewed 414 checks for a total of a little bit over $5 million, 13 wires for a hair under $2 million. A number of findings. There was an inaccurate shoe allowance payment. The department was advised and they took care of it. We had one invoice with weak payment documentation. The invoice description was service school for Chuck, and no other detail or attachment was offered. The department was contacted, a fuller explanation was received, and the check was released. So that's one of the kinds of things that we look at. If something's coming through, the documentation needs to either be attached or to be readily found in Eden. There were 4 checks that had late fees attached to them. One was $18.28, one was $14.42, and 2 invoices for another department for a total of $11.26. All bureaus were advised of the issues and the checks were released. We had 10 checks where departments used an incorrect expense account to pay invoices. Once again, this is important because when budget time comes around and council and the public, look at the accounts and look for the actual expense as provided by the finance department. We want those numbers should really be as accurate as possible so we know how and where the money's been spent, and we work on that in partnership with the departments and also with the finance department. There were a number of invoices that were paid late, 12 in total. Once again, all the departments were identified. They had some valid reasons for paying some of them late. And once again, everyone's encouraged to pay the invoices in a timely manner. And there was one document that missed an early payment discount, and the department was advised. And finally, there was one untimely wire posting to Eden. 12 wires were posted to Eden in March of 2018, but 11 of the invoices were from February 2018, and one was from August of 2017. And the department was advised of the issue and will take precautions to process invoices in a more timely manner in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Glazer. And I just want to remark about your new accounting term here, a hair under $2 million. That should be something taught in all colleges on accounting departments.
It is, in fact, a very technical term.
I figured it was, but yeah, thank you. Appointments, Ms. Alpha, I'll turn it over to you for the appointments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we have several appointments tonight. We'll start with the Nuisance Abatement Boards of Appeal. We have Paul Renaud, who will be the alternate private citizen for Rosalie De Silva. Do I have any comments from my colleagues on the appointment of Paul Renaud?
Who is he?
No, he's not here.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
What did you just say?
I don't know. Who is he?
You don't know?
Yeah, I
Hey,
don't.
didn't you see his application? He sent it in a month or so ago. All right, any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Hanlon, can I have a vote, please?
Okay, on Mr. Renaud, the appointment to the nuisance Board of Appeals, his term would expire 4/3/2020, and he would be an alternate private citizen. By common consent?
Yes.
Mr. President, 7.
Okay, thank you. Council, Candida After the count, I will be the council representative, and Courtney Robinson, my alternate. Do I have any, this is for the nuisance abatement. Do I have any comments from my colleagues? Mr. Zuckel, you know the two of us?
Do you want any?
Well, I'm not so sure. Robinson.
You might want to take an individual vote on this, Mr. Hill.
I would just like to comment. I know Ms. Affa, my colleague, has spent a lot of time in the, first of all, initiation of this board, and she's been an integral part of it, and I can't think of a better person for this appointment. So certainly support it 100%.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews, I appreciate that. Any comments from my, any other good comments from my?
I would just make a request that you not miss any meetings, please.
Any comments from my, from anyone out there? You know what the nuisance abatement board is. This is a very important law that we passed last year, and these are the people I need on the board. So seeing none, Mr. Allen.
Okay, this is a council appointment, and their terms would run to the end of the year, and it's for Ms. Affa as the council rep and Mr. Robinson as the alternate by common consent.
Yes. All right, now we have one for Human Relations Commission. It would be Phoebe Harris. Her term would run to 12/31/2019. Do I have any comments on the appointment of Phoebe Harris?
Mr. President, if I'm not mistaken, is this not an appointment from the school board similar to the Recreation Commission appointments for Ms. Gerlach and Mr. Smith?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Then my understanding would be, since we did not need to vote on those, this would be more informational than anything, since we set a practice, correct?
That's fine.
Okay. If I can interject, Mr. Robinson, that is absolutely correct. Allentown School Board has 2 appointments to the Rec Commission. The Allentown School Board has 1 appointment to the Human Relations Commission, and Ms. Harris is that appointment. And I concur that Ms. Harris is a fine selection.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. President. And Ms. Howe.
And we'll move on to, that's, we still have to vote.
Mr. President, I do think you still have to, whatever the practice may have been, I do think the rules require that you vote on the.
Then we will do it. Common consent?
Common consent?
Yes.
Okay. Done.
Moving on. Mr. Benuelos? Thank you for that. Civil Service Board, he will go on until January 21st, 2021. Do I have any comments from my colleagues?
Yeah, real quick, he was on, and it's just a...
Reappointment, yes. Anybody from the, no comments? All right, Mr. Hamlin, do we have a vote, please?
Okay, on the reappointment of Fred to 121/21. Common consent?
Yes. I believe that's it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to ordinances for final passage. Bill number 8, Mr. Hamlin.
This is the one that was pulled.
Yep. Okay, so this was in the committee earlier tonight, and it was pulled, so we'll have to put that on the agenda for...
Yes, Mr. President, since there was no one from Community Economic Development to speak to the issue, the committee unanimously tabled the bill.
Okay, so we'll table it at this point. Resolution 48, certificate of appropriateness.
Resolution 48 are certificates of appropriateness for work in the historic districts, and it's work at 348 North 8th Street, 620 Park Street, and 946 North Street.
Mr. President, I think we're going to run into the same problem here because I don't believe that Mr. Kimmerly is here, is he? So we don't have anyone from Community Economic Development. I can certainly tell you that one property on here, 348 North 8th Street, is a very complicated issue. This is a demolition certificate, yet the city engineers have stated the property is, the engineer the city consulted has stated that the property is sound. There's been work done on the property, so this could almost be deemed speculative demolition. So I would actually ask that we table this resolution. I hate to do this to the other 2 property owners because theirs are very straightforward, but if there's no one here from the administration, I think we should table the whole resolution.
Let me ask the administration, are you guys, you're not ready to proceed then, I would presume?
Could I speak to that? Just from a history standpoint, typically certificates of appropriateness were on a consent agenda, and you approve them without anybody from the administration being here. I would just have the council think about pulling the demolition and approving the other 2 because they were approved unanimously by the Harbor Board, and those people, if they want to do work, and not pull permits if you don't pass this. And this was held up on the last agenda.
Right.
So this already was missed.
Mr. President, I would be fine with making a motion to simply remove 348 North 8th Street from this resolution and move forward with 620 Park and 946 North Street. If I can have a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by everybody. I guess we don't have to take a vote. Yeah, but I guess we still do, right, technically?
By common consent?
Common consent. Thank you.
Okay, and then you're at the resolution as amended without 348 North 8th Street.
Correct. And we voted on it by common consent?
You pulled 348 North.
We pulled 348
North 8th.
from there.
Yes,
Do we have anything from the administration first, I guess? No? Okay. Now we vote on the resolution minus 348 North 8th. Anything from the public?
Okay, on R48.
Somebody's coming, somebody's coming.
Hello, Laura Golden. I'm here on behalf of the Allentown Preservation League. Unfortunately, Old Allentown happens to have their regular board meeting tonight, so no one from OAPA could be here. I just wanted to thank you for tabling 348 North 8th. The issue came that the building was stabilized from the time that the certificate of appropriateness was issued till now, which sort of changes the nature of how the building gets approached. So thank you for rolling with what is an ongoing project.
We've learned to be flexible over the past year or two. Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public?
Okay, on R48 is amended. Ms. Appa?
Yes.
Mr. Greedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes.
Ms. Moda?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Zupo?
Yes.
Mr. President, 7 yeas and 2 nays.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. 49, R49.
R49 authorizes submission of an application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for a grant of $300,000 for use in the construction of the development of a skate park.
Anything from the administration? I see Ms. Taylor coming up.
Thank you, yes. We would like to receive your authorization this evening to submit a grant application for $300,000 towards construction of a skate park at Jordan Park. This project has been in the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program, for several years, and we are in the midst of the design process this year that has had a very robust public participation process. We're very pleased with the turnout that we've received for this in the design process. So we want to move to the next step and seek the funding that we need to build this first phase of this skate park.
That was going to be my question. I see $300,000. That doesn't get us the whole skate park.
No, it's the design, we've looked at phases. The first phase, the cost is approximately $650,000, so we would, it is a 50-50 match that would be required should we be awarded this grant, and then we would seek additional funding to round out the first phase. The second phase is an even tougher challenge. It's approximately $800,000 that we would have to raise with grant funds and alternative funding.
What's the total cost going to be for this?
Approximately $1.24 million. $1.4 million.
1.4 million. Okay, thank you. Anybody else on council?
Do we have renderings of this? Do we have, you don't have any design yet, do we?
It's the finishing design now. We have some sketches that we've shown, but the design is nearing completion now.
Okay. Are they on the website?
I believe they are available on the website, and I can certainly send them to everybody. But I believe they are available on the website.
That would be nice, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see that too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you please share how many public meetings do you have concerning this Jordan Park?
We had 2 public meetings that were very well attended. Approximately 50 attended the first meeting, and about between 30 and 40 attended the second meeting. The consulting team was from Seattle, Washington. Grindline, a very well-respected firm that was working hand in hand with the attendees at the meeting, making changes on the fly at the meeting, and listening very intently to the participants that were actually split between skateboarders and bicyclists. So it was a very interactive process.